Donald Trump just ended federal car mileage mandates. Soon you will be able to buy a cheap car that does not kill you. Tucked inside the big beautiful bill was a little gem that zeroed out penalties on the notorious CAFE regulations, a series of Nixon-era mandates that dictated how many miles per gallon cars can get. This matters because CAFE has been a wrecking ball to the American car industry, feeding billions of subsidies to foreign car makers, driving up car prices to consumers, and literally killing tens of thousands of Americans by forcing them to drive tin cans. Now, CAFE standards were part of the Nixon-era environmental panic passed in response to gas shortages, ironically caused by Nixon's price controls. They were supposed to wean us off imported gasoline, which did not happen, but environmentalists repurposed them to save us from the angry climate fairies. They've since grown into a 1,700-page leviathan, forcing every car sold to hit increasingly comical fuel mileage. In practice, this meant making vehicles lighter and incorporating expensive features like Eco Drive or shutting off at red lights, stuff you hate but have to pay thousands for. According to the Manhattan Institute, these raised the cost of a new car by nearly $6,000, which ironically drove people into used cars that get even worse mileage because they're old. The mandate was a disaster for the American car industry. The Mackinac Center estimates compliance cost GM and Ford a combined $5 billion. Even the Department of Transportation, who loves the rule, admits compliance costs are at least $3.5 billion per year. Meanwhile, foreign companies made out like bandits since they already make small cars for places like Japan. So they could sell their CAFE credits to American companies pocketing $500 million a year. Without the federal government, who would hand the car industry to foreigners? Finally, the deaths. Small cars are 45% more deadly in a crash. A 2012 study found just a 100-pound reduction in vehicle weight increases the odds of dying in a crash by 2.5%. Harvard researchers estimated 100,000 Americans have died from CAFE rules since 1975. Now, even if you believe the climate panic, CAFE rules cost an estimated $200 per ton of carbon dioxide, which is roughly 20 times more than reforestation, which of course gives you a free forest instead of 100,000 dead Americans. Meanwhile, reducing weight meant using exotic materials like aluminum or carbon fiber that are more expensive than steel, but also use far more energy. So aluminum uses up to 8 times more energy than steel. Carbon fiber is closer to 30 times. So the materials alone canceled up to 84% of the carbon dioxide savings. So $6,000 per car, billions in industry losses, 100,000 dead, and the climate fairies still are not happy. So what's next? Brought to you by I Trust Capital. Congress merely zeroed out fines instead of removing them, meaning CAFE is not dead, it's just waiting for the next Democrat Congress. Moreover, there are dozens of so-called environmental rules that cause even more harm, from manufacturing to infrastructure permits to dumping water during droughts. Happily, Trump is trying to gut them all. Unhappily, environmental regulation is a very deep swamp. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.